Today saw Australia's biggest public float since Telstra, with the listing of QR National on the stock exchange. The company is the world's largest transporter of coal from mine to port for export. Last year alone it hauled 260 million tonnes of minerals, agricultural products and general freight. QR National is also the centrepiece of a suite of contentious asset sales by the Queensland Government. It's had a promising start, with shares closing 10 cents up today, but unions and some in the financial world are warning of trouble down the line. John Taylor reports from Brisbane.
Queensland, not for sale! Rail, not for sale!
Not since Telstra has there been a float this big or as controversial on the Australian Stock Exchange.
No government has the right to sell our kids' future.
With a 9,000-strong workforce and more than 2,000 kilometres of track, hauling half the world's trade in coking coal, QR National has gone from being a state-owned asset to the mercy of the market.
This is a successful transaction. It's a successful transaction for taxpayers, for investors, and most importantly for the employees of QR National.
This is a great institution owned by all Queenslanders up to yesterday. Now Queensland Rail is only going to be owned by a few Queenslanders.
Shortly after Anna Bligh became Australia's first woman elected Premier last year, she made a surprise announcement: a $16 billion sale of government-owned assets.
This plan will reduce Queensland's debt, encourage investment in export infrastructure, give us the tools we need to fight the global recession in the short term and begin the process of restoring our AAA credit rating in the medium term.
QR National is the jewel in the crown. Split off from the still state-owned passenger rail services, the new top 50 listed giant operates commercial freight services, coal haulage and owns the tracks. Even before the company was listed today, the weekend close of retail and institutional offers had reaped the government billions.
It means $4.6 billion worth of proceeds for the state, while taxpayers will retain up to 40% of the stock, reaping the benefits of the growth of the company over the long term.
Queensland's Treasurer Andrew Fraser was today upbeat.
It's a good, strong start, but in the end, no one should rush to judgment. But what this reflects, I think, is what we've been saying as a government. This is investors believing in the story of QR National and investors believing in the long-term prospects of the Queensland economy.
We will be running this organisation for the benefit of all of the owners of the business. We will be running the business with an eye to being a world-class, high-performance commercial organisation.
But not everyone wanted today to happen. Coal companies warned that the government was creating a new profit-driven transport giant with near-monopoly powers, controlling coal haulage tracks and the rolling stock operating on it.
We think it will restrict the amount of coal over time that gets mined and goes through the port in Queensland.
The Queensland model, in my opinion, is a recipe for disaster.
The only thing that should be for sale is Anna Bligh.
But some of the most vehement opposition has come from within the trade union movement.
For 18 months, the Queensland trade union movement has campaigned against the sale of Queensland Rail and the 4 other assets because we believe those assets are better in the hands of the Queensland public.
Despite a major campaign, those unions opposed were unable to change the government's mind.
Privatisations result in less staffing numbers, a reduction in service and higher prices. And we've pointed this out to every rail privatisation.
Queensland's Conservative opposition is hailing the virtues of public ownership over private enterprise.
I think that Queenslanders will judge this government for what it has done, selling Queensland Rail for the wrong reasons, selling it for the wrong price and selling it on the back of an election lie.
The last float approaching the same size as QR National was Myer. But on day one, the Myer share price slid 8.5% and a year later still hasn't recovered. So far, it's been a happier story for QR National.
For new investors today, or investors who've bought the shares and been allocated shares at $2.45 or thereabouts, they've done okay. Shares today traded as high as $2.65. But long term, the intrinsic value of the company is a lot lower, and the government in Queensland did get a lower price than what they'd hoped.
Perhaps a better test for the share price will be in 30 days' time, when a price protection mechanism is removed from QR National. Independent analyst Roger Montgomery believes time will be an enemy of a poor business.
Long-term share prices tend to track the intrinsic value of companies, and the intrinsic value for QR National is significantly lower in 2 years' time. You've got to remember that in 2010 the company made a loss.
But despite the opposition, the train has left. QR National is now a listed company.
I think with 80% of Queenslanders not supporting the sale, they will make their feelings made when they can.
Today's listing on the ASX is a momentous day in the 145-year history of this icon. Day one of a new journey of QR National towards becoming a truly great Australian company.